Meanwhile, the presidency wishes to explain that the absence of the federal government delegation at the planned meeting with governors and stakeholders of the South-South region was necessitated by an emergency security meeting summoned by the president, certainly not out of disrespect. In a statement by the Senior Special Assistant to the President, Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, the delegation to the meeting under the Chief of Staff to the President, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, ministers and heads of security and intelligence agencies were in full readiness to proceed to Port Harcourt until they were directed to stay back for the emergency security meeting. This information and regret for the inconvenience caused were conveyed to the hosts of the meeting through what they believed were the right channels, as may have been gleaned from the statement read by the Minister of Police Affairs, Mohammed Megari Dingyadi. The extraordinary National Security Council meeting under the President was called in view of the gravity of the security situation affecting all parts of the country, including the South-South, in the aftermath of the End SARS protests and the need to rise to protect our national security and territorial integrity. The President is strongly and resolutely committed to hearing from leaders, stakeholders, and the youth on burning issues affecting all parts of the Federation, and to this effect, a new date for the meeting with the South-South will be agreed on after due consultations with the parties concerned. Once again, the unavoidable postponement of the meeting is regretted. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, is expected to hold a press conference in Abuja on Thursday, 19th of November 2020 on the End SARS protests and its aftermath. The conference is expected to come at the Nigerian Army Resource Center, Mambila Barracks, junction off Maitama Avenue, Asokoro, Abuja, at 11 o'clock in the morning. To verify all claims submitted and damages occasioned by NSAS protests, the FCT Ministerial Committee is interfacing with representatives of affected victims during the crisis. It was during an interactive session organized by the committee in Abuja. Shaibu Onoze Yakubu tells us more.
The interface between the NSAS committee and the representatives of the affected victims of attack is to compare notes on all the submissions received so far with the aim of verifying issues surrounding compensation.
We want to do this to show a kind of transparency and to show that we have given the opportunity to all members to hear them, because there are some outrageous submissions we agree with you, which we have seen. Call some them one by one to come and give us clarification. We need some budget. Nobody some answers. We don't just take figures like that without any substantiating how.
From the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria to Apple Traders Association and a non-governmental organization, Shelter Initiative for African Women, took turns to explain the extent of destruction of their property, which they estimated to be billions of naira.
A lot of them are specialized items depending on the industry. So we had instances where some of them were vandalized, some totally damaged, and even the physical structures of the buildings were also seriously affected in certain cases.
BMW E65 bulletproof, 240 million naira. BMW GT, 53 million naira. BMW X65.01, 120 million naira.
It's about 129 million. But even after this, there are plenty other things that we discovered, even as at yesterday.
The need for business owners to obtain insurance cover to reduce monumental loss in case of disaster was highlighted, while observations and suggestions were also provided. Shaibu Onoze Yakubu, NTA News.
Our next report from Yola says Corps Marshal of the Federal Road Safety Corps, Boboye Oyeyemi, has pledged to rebuild the Adamawa Sector Command Office recently attacked by hoodlums in the name of NSAS protests. He was speaking during a visit to assess level of damage and looting at the command. Bilkisu Abubakar reports.
Worried by the recent looting of property of offices, vehicles, places of worship, among others, at the sector command of the Federal Road Safety Corps in Adamawa, necessitated the visit of Chief Executive and the Corps Marshal of the Federal Road Safety Corps, Boboy Oyeyemi, to ascertain the level of damage done by hoodlums. The Corps Marshal expressed concern over the damages and make a passionate appeal to both the state and the federal government to intervene with a view to replacing the vandalized equipment. Looting of some properties by hoodlums will no doubt affect the Road Safety Corps from performing its social responsibilities in Adamawa.
I haven't seen this myself because it builds on me to come around and really assess the extent. I've seen it now, and within the next few weeks, I think we carry out some minimum work that we be able to get the commands to commence full patrol activities. But I commend their courage and their steadfastness, and we move on.
The Corps Marshal had earlier called on the State Deputy Governor, Crowder Set, where he appealed to the state government to look into the situation of the Corps in the state. In Yola, Bilkisu Abubakar, NTA News.
Our first stop on Nationwide is Lagos, and Hingino is over there waiting with more reports. Hingino. More reports. Hingino.
Thank you, Lydia. A delegation of the Northern Governors under the aegis of the Progressives Governors Forum has paid a solidarity visit to Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu to commiserate with him and the good people of the state over the wanton destruction of public and private assets during SARS violence. Led by its chairman, Atiku Bagudu, the governor of Kebbi State, the forum reinstates commitment of the APC to good governance and continuous engagement with the youth moving forward. Nusa Usla reports.
The forum, led by its chairman and Kebbi State Governor Abubakar Bagudu, commended the resilience of the governor and residents of the state, noting the bad effects of the aftermath of the protests and calling for greater synergy between government and residents in strengthening the peace and unity in the state.
It's very clear that violence does not solve any problem, it compounds it. Today, Lagos has further taken a loss because of that violence that has attacked everything, police stations, the cultural institutions.
Governor Bagudu, who also commiserated with the victims of the violence, assured Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu of the continuous support of the Progressive Governors Forum in the rebuilding of the state.
Yes, our young persons have the right to express opinions. We have to dialogue with them, we have to listen to them. They are our beacons to the world. But they have seen how the mobility of any cause can be taken over by those who otherwise have agendas that are contrary to what they thought they are out to achieve.
At the solidarity visit were the governors of Yobe State, Mai Malabuni, Simon Lalong of Plateau State, and Mohammed Badru Abubakar of Jigawa State. In Lagos, Nusa Usula, NTA News.
Talking food security now. Key players in the food processing sector are collaborating to ensuring food security and sufficiency with the use of technology. To promote this quest, the Tertiary Education Trust Fund was at the Federal Institute of Industrial Research, Oshodi, Lagos, to fine-tune partnership. Diana Ajali reports.
The visit of the members of Tertiary Education Trust Fund Committee to Firo is to ensure seamless cooperation between the industry, academia and the government to ensure international standard in food processing and packaging, which will in turn cushion the effects of unemployment as well as contribute to economic growth.
We should not just rely on the export of agricultural raw materials, and we want to export our yam, cocoa, etc., etc. We must add value to them.
Part of what we are looking at is ensuring that Firo equally produce at the global standard so their product can compete favorably anywhere in any part of the world.
Management of the institute expresses readiness to align with positive ideas that will move the industry forward.
we need to go into a lot of public-private partnership. That will give us more coverage. We have a myriad of so many products.
Federal Institute of Industrial Research, Oshodi, has been providing technology since 1956 to micro, small and medium scale as well as large scale industries in Nigeria, and has played a major role in transforming about 70% of such enterprises, particularly those in the food and beverage sector in the Southwest Geopolitical Zone. In Lagos, Diana Ajale, NTA News.
Going a break, Nationwide continues after that with Nura in Sokoto.
And this is Sokoto. Sokoto State Government has solicited for partnership with the Nigeria Defense College to undertake an in-depth study of banditry, which has caused the state a lot of anguish in the past and recent times. Dalat Abdullahi reports that Governor Tambol made the appeal while receiving participants of Course 29 from Nigeria Defense College who were on study tour in Sokoto. The report.
Sokoto State Government has candid interest in the college and wants to partner with it by providing sponsorship for the NDC to carry out a study on the causes of banditry and kidnapping in the state. It is believed that the recommendations and the outcome of the study would not only provide the historical evolution of the criminal activities, but will also enable government to devise ways of preventing future occurrences. Tambol noted that armed banditry and kidnapping have caused serious damages to the people of the state.
It has cost us a lot in terms of human lives, in terms of loss in property, in terms of losing confidence in our security situation in the state, which is very, very monumental. And I believe that we should not fold our arms and allow that to happen in the future.
The leader of college team, Air Commodore Dauda Garba Praero, said the college was established in 1992 and as at 2019 graduated 2,447 participants with capacity on peace and conflict resolution. The graduates held study tour within and outside Nigeria in order to assess contemporary issues affecting national and international security and development.
The broad objective of the tour is to generate and interrogate viable ideas for promoting science and technology education for the fourth industrial revolution.
The leader said the 29 course participants comprises of 82 Nigerians and 15 internationals. In Sokoto, Dalat Abdullahi, NTA News.
The Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps has restated its commitment to fight all forms of economic sabotage and other criminal activities. The Kebbi State Commandant of the Corps, Suleiman Ibrahim Mafara, stated this while parading a suspect arrested with counterfeit currency in Jega local government area of the state. The report. The Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps is scheduled, among other things, the responsibility of fighting vandalization of national assets and all forms of economic sabotage, as well as other criminal activities. The Kebbi State Command, therefore, in line with this mandate, arrested Abdul Wahab Usman with counterfeit currency while trying to defraud one of his victims in Jega local government area of the state.
In the course of that discussion, he told her he's ready to make her rich. And to prove to her, he asked her to close her eyes. After about 5 seconds, and asked her to open her eyes again. When she opened her eyes, she saw a carton filled with fake currencies. And then she became frightened. As he noticed that she became frightened and she was no longer interested in having any discussion with him, she took to her heels. She went home and informed her elder brother. It was the elder brother that reported to our Jega divisional office.
The commandant, who warned all those engaged in all forms of fraudulent activities to mend their ways, said Abdul Wahab will be charged to court after investigations are completed. Suspect who appealed for leniency said he was introduced to the fraudulent activity by a partner who is now at large. And that does it from Sokoto. Nationwide continues with Lydia in Abuja.
Many thanks, Noura. We'll still continue with security reports. The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Defense, Babangida Hussaini, has visited the Defense headquarters on a maiden operational visit to further consolidate on the relationship between the security giants. Defense correspondent Naja'atu Tijani has more on that.
Being answerable to the minister, the permanent secretary is carrying out his duty of supporting the general policies of government, among other functions.
I'm sure my directors will testify to the fact that this is a very educative visit, which will further help us in discharging our mandate and supporting the policy initiative of driving the activities of the armed forces of Nigeria.
I wish to use this opportunity to express a profound appreciation to the Honorable Minister for his unwavering commitment and support to the armed forces, and has enabled us to execute our constitutional responsibility efficiently.
As the permanent secretary is reacquainted with the organizational structure of the defense headquarters, the visit bears fruit as the defense chief's suggestion to boost efficiency by restructuring operations into one complex is met with approval. If implemented, it means officers may head key departments in the Ministry of Defense, which is mainly manned by civilians. Call it a refresher course on the inner workings of the defense headquarters. The permanent secretary of the Ministry of Defense also resolved with the Chief of Defense Staff to restructure the ministry, which is something that both parties are looking forward to, as they say it will lead to more production and more efficiency. Naja'atu Tijani, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Directorate of Defense Media Operations, DMO, says the land and air components of Operation Thunderstrike have neutralized several armed bandits in a joint offensive operation to clear identified bandits' camp around Kuku area of Kagariko local government area along the Kaduna-Abuja expressway axis of Kaduna State. DMO Coordinator Major General John Enenche says the operation was executed on 17 November 2020 following credible human intelligence reports indicating that a cluster of huts and other structures at the location served as hideouts for a notorious bandit leader named Major, along with his fighters. 6 Nigerian Air Force aircraft undertaking 5 missions in a total of 13 sorties targeted the cluster of huts housing Major. The attack aircraft hit some of the target structures and neutralized some of the bandits. A second wave of attacks also provided close air support to the land component, who destroyed the camp. Kano, Port Harcourt and Enugu airports are likely to resume international flight operations before the end of this year, as the Ministry of Aviation is working with the Federal Ministry of Health, the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 and other relevant bodies to ensure that the airports meet all the safety and health requirements and protocols. The Minister of Aviation, Senator Hadi Sirika, says all hands are on deck to ensure that all logistics and policy necessities will soon be in place in order to address the difficulties encountered by international travelers, especially with the impending Yuletide season. Ban on Lufthansa, KLM and Air France has also been lifted, paving the way for them to resume their operations in and out of the country. Qatar Airways has also been granted approval to start operations at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja. In granting the approvals, Sirika emphasized the need for airlines operating in the country to employ international best practices in handling Nigerian passengers, as government will not tolerate any form of maltreatment of its citizens by any airline. Benin is our next port of call with Obehi as our guide. Obehi, good to see you.
See you too, Lydia. Many thanks for joining us in Benin. The continued absence of law enforcement agencies on the roads in Benin City and other parts of the state is now a source of concern to residents who now live in constant fear and apprehension. Goodluck Enaini, who spoke with some of the residents, reports that they are appealing to the security agencies to return to the streets.
over the city of Benin, the story is the same: increase in crime and criminality. In the past few days, there had been alleged cases of killings by rival court groups who have thrown caution to the wind. A number of robbery attacks have also been reported as unsuspecting members of the public are either disposed of their phones, cars, cash, and other valuables. Shop owners are not left out. They are robbed in broad daylight.
Like me now, I'm running, I'm in the rig road now. I want to quickly run home.
Right now, the boys themselves have capitalized with the whole situation. Tribunal set up by the federal government for each state is working. Then they should not wait for that tribunal to finish their work before they start doing their work.
It is a disagreement. We can agree and disagree. So the police come back.
The police stations that were a beehive of activities before they were burnt in the course of the NSAS protest have remained desolate. Information gathered indicates that the IGP to deploy 5 mobile police units to Edo State to help restore sanity. Reacting to the security situation in Benin is the Deputy Governor, Philip Shaibu.
Recently, community policing exercise has commenced in Edo with the passing out of the constables. We are doing our best to make sure that we return to Edo that is peaceful.
While the citizens look forward to the return of law enforcement agents to the metropolis, they are hoping that their dream of having a competent community policing will be actualized. In Benin, Goodluck Enaini, NT News.
One petition before the Edo State Judicial Panel of Inquiry is ripe for recommendations. This is as the panel concluded hearing and deliberations on the matter this Tuesday. Agatha Igwarojo reports.
Pius Ebodagi is one of the waste managers in Benin City. He is in the panel seeking compensation for his truck burnt on Agba Road during the violent turn of the NSAS protest.
I think the whole loss came up just because the vehicle is written Edo State Waste Management Board. And beside that, it is not owned by Edo State Waste Management Board.
Mr. Christopher Okoji is another petitioner making his first appearance. He was shot in 1999 by a police officer.
I didn't do anything. I sit on top of my car. I got the way for passenger. Then before I know it, this policeman, he drink. He got the stagger, he come. From there, I don't even know saying a police because he don't wear uniform. I still sit down on top of my motor. Before I know it, he just carry gun come outside. Before I can't find myself for grant.
As the hearing continued, the defense counsel requested for a proof from the hospital he was admitted in. But members of the panel will not toe this line, more so as the case has been decided in court and what is left is implementation of judgment. Also this Tuesday, the panel fixed Thursday to take a stand on the appearance of the retired DPO of Ogida Police Station, Mrs. Karo Afegwa, over the murder of Ibrahim Momodu in 2012.
After the 29th of November 2020, no more petitions will be received by this panel.
62 petitions are now before the panel. In Benin, Agatha Egware-Uju, NTA News.
Following the attack on some infrastructure at the Ondo State Police Command during the NSAS protests, a 9-man committee assessing police losses initiated by the Inspector General of Police has visited Ondo State to ascertain the level of damage to the police property. Olubumi Iroju reports.
The committee assessing police losses led by the Commissioner of Police, Abutu Yaro, visited SARS office at Oda, A Division, Police Band and Shijuade Police Station, all in Akure, the state capital, where carcasses of burnt vehicles and buildings were inspected. Worried by the level of damage done to the police property, the team maintained that police would not be discouraged by the level of destruction, but would rather sustain high professionalism among officers and men towards the protection of lives and property. The team also sympathized with the command as well as officers in the barracks who lost their property during the attack.
Police is behind you at every time, and we will not, by whatever means, lower our esteem, resolve to serve you. The IGP has made this known, that we must wake up and serve you better.
The team is expected to submit its report to the Inspector General of Police for further action. In Akure, Olubumi Iroju, NTA News.
Nationwide continues with Salamatu in Kaduna right after this break.
Thanks for staying tuned and a warm welcome to Kaduna.
The need for exchange of visits and interaction to enhance peaceful coexistence among diverse Nigerian citizens cannot be overemphasized, especially with the recent development in the country. This is coming from the Emir of Dutse, Jigawa State, Nuhu Muhammad Sanusi, and Shehu Obama in Borno State. Umar Kyari El-Kanami, Mansour Aliyu Hassan reports that the Emir Obama was on a visit to Dutse.
For some time, the need for unity and living in harmony between various ethnic groups in the country remain a big task being championed by all Nigerians, particularly the traditional rulers. This prompted some of them traversing the length and breadth of the country with the message of Nigeria's indivisibility, the need for cultural integration, tolerance, peace and stability. Recent among such moves was the tour embarked upon by the Shehu Obama, Umar Kyari El-Kanemi, to some northern emirates, with a view to strengthen their existing relationship and also consolidate on their cause of preaching peace among their subjects. At the palace of Emir of Dutse, Nuhu Muhammad Sanusi, Shehu Obama Umar El-Kanemi re-echoed the message.
So muna roƙon sarki da ya ci gaba da ba da shawarwari wanda ya kamata a ci gaba da zumunci fiye da na da insha Allah.
Emir of Dutse Nuhu Muhammad Sanusi says what Nigeria needs now is nothing but sustainable peace and tranquility for it to remain one indivisible entity.
Muna so mu duka nana tabbatar ma cewa tsakanin wato wannan fada da dukkan ƙasa ta alkanemi ta kakanninka wato akwai kyakkyawar alaƙa.
While commending the Shehu Obama for this initiative, the Emir of Dutse also called on other traditional rulers from across the country to take a cue from this patriotic effort. In Dutse, Mansour Aliyu Hassan, NTA News.
Some witnesses in an ongoing trial of the leader of the proscribed Islamic movement of Nigeria, Sheikh Ibrahim El-Zakzaki and his wife Zainat, have been cross-examined with more to present their accounts of the event and what followed in December 12, 2015 in Zaria. Abdullahi Muhammad tells us more.
Sheikh Ibrahim El-Zakzaki and his wife were not brought to court today because the last time they appeared in court here, they pleaded not guilty to all charges, and because of their health condition, they were given the option to either appear in court or not. And today, trial has begun proper.
They gave evidence about the operation of the military operation that lasted between the 12th and the 14th of December 2015, and the role played by each of them.
16 witnesses are expected to give account of what happened December 12th in Zaria here in court, and the trial will continue tomorrow. In Kaduna, Abdullah Muhammad, NTA News.
That's our package. Lydia, over to you.
The End SARS protest, which resulted in the burning of courts and police stations, may have a long-term effect on the Nigerian justice system. This position came from legal practitioners participating at the 3rd Annual Criminal Law Review Conference holding in Abuja, from where Femi Okeowo reports.
In the last 10 years or thereabouts, the Nigerian Judiciary has taken conscious effort to go electronic in its processes and record keeping. But legal practitioners now say the recent End SARS protest has only gone a long way in exposing how far that effort has gone. Treating the topic, updates on electronic evidence on the 3rd day of the Criminal Law Review Conference, law experts said that the burning down of courts along with already admitted evidence and other court records will bring a setback to cases before the courts, particularly criminal matters.
There is the need for the judiciary to be protected and to be adequately protected for that matter.
Technology is there. The only question is, do you have the resources to determine it?
They say a stagnation of such judicial matters can be averted if the Nigerian judiciary had a retrieval system or stored court records in the cloud.
This is the time for the judiciary to really utilize its votes for concrete things like that. 20 years years, we come around to situations where courts are destroyed, records are burned.
If society cannot take care of all these things, then it's a failure of a society. If the banks can do it, why wouldn't they fund the judiciary to be able to do that? That is, you dematerialize the documents.
The conference is expected to come up with recommendations in this direction. In Abuja, Femi Okeowo, NJ News.
ECOWAS Parliament is formulating a blueprint that will ensure that education in West Africa is not disrupted in the future by pandemics. Parliamentarians at the delocalized meeting of joint committees in Lomé, the capital of Togo, are brainstorming on this plan alongside experts in education and ICT in the region. Onengie Fineface reports.
Premised on the fact that the COVID-19 pandemic disrupted 94% of education and academic activities, affecting more than 1.6 billion people the world over. ECOWAS Parliament is developing information communication technology, ICT-based solutions to distance learning in West Africa. The goal is to achieve internet availability and access to promote remote learning.
Parliament is committed to working with member states in areas related to information and communication technology, science and innovation to digitally connect our societies together. That is why the next few days will be dedicated to seeking solutions that support our population and to promote inclusive technology and innovation strategies for sustainable development, as well as a conducive learning environment in the post-COVID-19 period.
Parliament is seeking to drive internet penetration further to its 300 million community citizens, promote sundry requirements like power supply, infrastructure, and manpower to achieve competitive education in the face of pandemics.
Most schools have inadequate classrooms and are also ill-equipped in libraries and computer services. Some lack access to electricity and therefore can't connect to high broadband technology.
The Joint Committee meeting in Togo include education, science and technology, political affairs, peace and security, as well as that of infrastructure. Onengie Fineface, NTA News.
Still on education, a total of 14,729 candidates sat for the computer-based test for selection into the 2020 Federal Teacher Scheme coordinated by the Universal Basic Education Commission, UBEC. Executive Secretary of UBEC, Dr. Hamid Boboyi, stated this while monitoring the conduct of the test in Abuja. Olainka Ojo reports that the Commission received more than 350,000 applications nationwide.
The computer-based test is a prerequisite for these holders of National Certificate of Education to participate in the Federal Teachers Scheme. In addition, those taking the test are candidates who sailed through the initial screening process from the 36 states of the Federation and the FCT from 74 approved exam centers. 400 teachers from every state of the Federation and the FCT were shortlisted, but 3,700 teachers will be engaged for the scheme for a period of 2 years.
Unfortunately, 100 per stage, because that's what the budget provides.
Monitoring the exercise at some centers in Abuja, Dr. Boboyi says the whole idea is to ensure that states are assisted, particularly to find teachers for rural schools.
The second aspect, as we said, is also the training aspect, where we ensure that during these 2 years, these teachers get all the necessary training that they require to be fully absorbed by the various states of the Federation.
A cut-off mark after the exercise will be determined by states, while verification of certificates will be carried out by UBEC thereafter. The Federal Teachers Scheme has been in operation since 2006. Olainka Ojo, NTA News.
The recently inaugurated Third Fund Committee on Research and Development continues its advocacy and collaboration with relevant agencies towards actualizing their mandate to put Nigeria on a solid path of knowledge on digital economy using necessary research and development initiatives to meet present-day challenges. This time around, its subcommittee on ICT and digital economy called on the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy to explore areas of possible partnership, having realized the lacuna between research institutions, higher institutions, business organizations, and some agencies of government. The Minister of Communications.
This effort to be successful, there has to be a lot of collaboration, cooperation, and working together amongst 4 or 5 principal stakeholders and actors.
The Minister of Communications and Digital Economy described TEDFund's current efforts as timely, especially with the ministry's national digital policy and strategy.
Research and development is key towards the implementation, and what we emphasize more is we need to change our position from being a consuming nation to a producing nation, and that cannot be achieved without research and development.
The ministry is in the forefront of digital economy and supervises other players on the drive. And now to politics. The Supreme Court has dismissed the suit brought by the Alliance for Democracy, Advanced Nigeria Democratic Party, and Labour Movement against Bayelsa State Deputy Governor, Senator Lawrence Erujakpo, and Accord Party's case against Governor Doye Diri. The 7-man panel of the Supreme Court, in a unanimous judgment read by Justice Sylvester Guta, dismissed the appeal filed against the governor and his deputy. Details will come in our subsequent bulletin. A chieftain of All Progressives Congress APC and Director General of Voice of Nigeria, DG Vaughan, Mr. Osita Okechukwu, has described Governor David Umahi's defection from People's Democratic Party PDP to APC on Tuesday, 17th November 2020 as a welcome development. In a statement, Osita Okechukwu, while congratulating the Ebonyi State Governor for making the bold move, remarked that the act of joining APC, Umahi has activated the Zikist Eagle Alliance taking place in the southeast geopolitical zone. He explained that PDP was very unfair to the Indigbo, despite their years of loyalty and investment of electoral advantage on the opposition party. Okechukwu remarked that Umahi's move will guarantee the popular agitation for Nigeria's president of Igbo extraction and facilitate more physical infrastructure to the area. He added that as the chairman of Southeast Governors Forum, Umahi is opening the gate for others to follow. He also cautioned the people against faulty political strategy of hanging on the opposing side. Meanwhile, following the defection of the Ebonyi State Governor Dave Umahi, the National Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party on Tuesday announced the dissolution of the ward, local government and state executive committees of the Ebonyi State chapter of the party forthwith. A statement from the party's National Publicity Secretary, Kola Olobondia, says the National Working Committee has also dissolved the Southeast Zonal Caretaker Committee of the party. The statement expressed gratitude to Governor Umahi for serving the people of Ebonyi State, as well as the state chairman of Ebonyi PDP from 2003 to 2007, Deputy Governor of Ebonyi State from 2007 to 2015, and two-term Governor of Ebonyi from 2015 till date, all elected on the platform of the PDP. The statement wishes Governor Umahi well and calls on the members of the party to remain calm and committed to the ideals of the PDP, as no individual is bigger than the PDP. Now let's talk about federal government's empowerment initiatives geared towards stimulating far-reaching models for uplifting millions of youths out of unemployment, circled by providing enabling environment to thrive in different productive aspects in agriculture, value chain, and several other economic activities, has carefully evaluated efforts on federal government in changing the narrative and putting the economy on a steady path of growth is put in perspective by guests on Tuesday Live. Abubakar Usman Akwanga brings us a highlight of the program.
The aged-long adage that tomorrow belongs to the youth seems to be fast changing to the reality of having today to fully prepare for a future that is already secured. For uplifting the youth, the productive platform to realize these projects, stakeholders on NTA Current Affairs program Tuesday Live say are provided by the federal government to leverage on for a greater tomorrow.
The future of agriculture is in the hands of the young people. The federal government is doing the necessary investment to make sure that we create the soft database, the soft infrastructure in terms of database that can support the businesses of young people. So for me, I am more confident, honestly, that what federal government has done from June to date in creating this robust database of farmers will go a long way to enable and make sure that the Green Imperative project is a success.
To be candid, one has to give all the necessary kudos to the federal government for finding agriculture worthy at this point in time. And then the diversification of the economy is very, very important. The price of oil is going. Everybody knows all over the world the price is going down. And even countries that have better reserves than Nigeria are now thinking of how to diversify.
There is no youth in Nigeria that cannot be accommodated within the agricultural space.
The relaunch of the National Agricultural Land Development Authority, approval of 75 billion naira youth investment fund and other social security and welfare schemes are evidence of federal government commitment to change the narrative.
It was, let me key in, and I did. We assessed that facility, and here we are today in business.
As the thriving youth continued to prosper and blossom on several components of the social investment and agricultural programs initiated to diversify economy and sources of income, the unanimous view of stakeholders here is to build an economy that will guarantee a surplus wealth and engage more youth. In Abuja, Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
Economic and financial experts are optimistic towards the prospects of the Banks and Other Financial Institutions Act 2020, signed into law by President Muhammadu Buhari, to help strengthen Nigeria's financial system as well as sustain and stabilize the economy. The experts were discussing the Banks and Other Financial Institutions Act 2020 by President Muhammadu Buhari on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria. Olusheye Adiagbo reports.
Some of the provisions there will go a long way in solving a seemingly intractable problem in the banking sector, which is the issue of poor asset quality of banks linked to high non-performing loans.
Professor Uche Waleke, President, Capital Markets Academics of Nigeria, highlighting the promising nature of the Banks and Other Financial Institutions Act, BOFIA 2020. Other guests explain how the BOFIA 2020, which include the establishment of a credit tribunal, will improve loan recovery and strengthen the regulatory framework for managing falling or distressed lenders. They expect an increase in appetite of banks to channel credit to the real sector to support economic recovery and promote growth.
We know that a lot of bank directors used to take advantage of depositors' funds and lend to themselves directly or indirectly. This has been strengthened, with BOFIA 2020, whereby a lot of that is limited.
This new act is also trying to cover the aspect of fintechs, which is also very critical to support financial penetration. Most banks now have what you call USSD code that doesn't ride on internet.
The guests are suggesting more engagement of key actors on the BOFIA 2020 towards attending to more developing concerns. In Abuja, Olusheye Adiagbo, NTA News.